Welcome to the WangHiro podcast, where we answer Malaysians' burning questions about personal finance with fact-based answers.
What is plastic and could potentially ruin you financially? Of course, we're talking about credit cards. Now, credit cards can get a bad rep. We all know of someone or has seen someone drown in a lot of credit card debt. It could even have been yourself. Some have even gone to the extent of freezing their credit cards just to stop themselves from overspending. But are credit cards as bad as they appear? Welcome back to WangHiro Personal Finance. Today we're asking, are credit cards bad for you? John, how many credit cards do you have?
One too many, and I've returned quite a few.
No, how many exactly?
I think at the peak I had 16, Louis.
16?
Yeah. Because you know why? You apply one bank, they usually, you thought you get one card, right? But they give you two. One Visa, one Master.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, but you had to apply to at least 8 banks to get 16.
That's right.
So what was the motivation behind getting so many credit cards?
The free gift.
Okay, so 16, how many have you returned?
I think I returned 8. I'm still left with 8. And these are the 8 that I would say out of the 8, I use probably frequently 2 or 3. 2 or 3. Yeah.
So would you say, John, you are like a heavy credit card user?
Very. I think if I can pay it with $1 with a credit card, I'll use a credit card.
$1? Yeah. I imagine the merchant must not be too happy accepting the $1.
Correct. But usually merchants like this, My News, 7-Eleven is already parked into the cost. And most of the time in KL today, everything is done through credit card, even for parking. So even parking two ringgit and whatever. I personally don't like it. Why, Louis? Because I run a business and expenses, you need the receipts, right? So when you pay parking with credit card, the struggle is you don't get the receipts. So you have to manually go, they don't print out the receipt at the term. Yeah. So again,
that's very interesting. I mean, that isn't that by law that that the receipt has to be issued regardless of the payment method?
The struggle is in Mid Valley or in One Utama or wherever they have a credit card paying terminal. They don't have the machine that you put in your ticket and then you anymore. It's straight away at the, what do you call it, the turnstile or the entrance to the car park. So you tap your card to go in and you tap your card to come out. So if every car that comes out has a receipt, you just imagine the queue exiting the
right. It's also like a process operations issue.
Correct. Unless if they come out with a system, that would be interesting. You tap and then it sends through email to you or an SMS. But then PDPA again, because how would they tag your credit card number to your name? What they do now is very interesting, Louis. You go in, they scan your car plate number.
Oh, okay.
So you don't even need to tap your card. They scan your car plate number, and when you exit, they scan your car plate number. It's been this long. You just tap your card and you're out.
Okay, so I think you, for one, definitely is a proponent of credit cards. I'm the opposite actually. I don't really like using credit cards because growing up, I've seen too many people just drown in credit card debt. So I'm, for one, like I actually told them, hey, maybe you should just freeze your credit card. Put it into the ice box, make it like freeze.
Or cut it into half or something, right?
Yeah. But nowadays it's actually very easy to get around that kind of physical limitations. So it doesn't work anymore. Because you can connect your card like to an Apple Pay, for example.
Oh yeah, yes.
Cards. Like Wise, you have a digital card even.
Correct.
A digital card, and then all the details are just there, right? You don't even need to scan the credit card. Okay, so like definitely, like you are someone who likes using credit cards, but generally speaking, why do you think credit cards get such a bad rep?
I think it's because people have less physical sense of money. So like, for example, in the past, when you withdraw like 400 ringgit, 500 ringgit, and you put it in your wallet and you start spending, all of a sudden, when it comes down to your last 50 ringgit, there's like a trigger, there's like a flag. Okay, you just withdraw it like 2 days ago and it's gone, right? So there's a conscious like reminder. Whereas for a credit card, you tap, there's no reminder unless someone can, I'm pretty sure there's an app somewhere, somehow, or someone has not built it before, that you tap the moment you hit 1,000, like there's a notification alarm. But the banks won't like it, Louis, because you're limiting the customer spend, ma. So it's like you're consciously trying to limit. So the bad rap is because I think they don't have like a checker, a milestone checker, and they don't have a sense of when they start tapping 20, 20, 20, 20, even like 20 ringgit, 20 ringgit, 20 ringgit, it adds up. The second thing I think is also when they buy big ticket items and they start changing that into installment, it gets very easy to be lulled into thinking it's only 200 ringgit a month. But 200 ringgit a month multiplied by 10, that's 2,000 already, you know. And if the guy is only earning like 3,000, that really actually racks up lah. What else do you think they get a bad rep?
Yeah, I think to that point, the last one especially, I think that was also my horrible experience of people, young and old. You know, like I actually went furniture shopping with a friend, and then he was like randomly buying expensive furniture. You know, really exactly. That's why when you said that, I literally just like smiled, because I thought back about him at that time. We were both like fresh graduates, and he's like, oh, I got a new house. Now I want to get some furniture for my house. And then it's like 5,000. How much? Monthly 112 divided by how much? You know, like it's I think over 3 or 4. It's a very long payment term. So it just went down from 5K to 100 something. So like little things like that. And then not surprisingly, months later, he told me he really regretted it. Really regretted it. But then now you have all these things, right, that actually don't have a high resale value. 5K furniture, how much can you resell it for? Used furniture, maybe 1,000 if you're lucky.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
So I think these are some of the things that scare people about credit cards, right? But you are a lover of credit cards. I think, you know, a polar opposites of me. What are some of the key reasons why you use it?
Many. I think I was very lucky that I got hired by a multinational oil and gas company. And one of the first credit cards that I used was based on my, was it my first? I'm trying to, wow, now you recall, make me recall. I remember when I started working for Shell, a lot of expenses, you have to come out upfront first. Because the hotel, they'll pay for you. But your meals on board, your travel, all that kind of thing. The day I signed for Shell, I was sent to Miri. But the next day after I signed my employment contract, I was actually asked to go to Kuching. So if you had to pay everything in cash without a credit card, it's actually a tough thing, because you're coming up all this cash and you'll be reimbursed later, you know. So it may take 1 month. It's not that Shell are bad paymasters. They pay very, very much on time. But it's that locking up of money lah, if you think of it. If it's like in business, it's working capital, you lock up all this working capital.
Right.
So I was very lucky that I had a credit card. I traveled extensively because I was in projects, and a lot of it was on my own credit card. So what happened was even things like, you know, sometimes meals that I treat colleagues, but it's a business expense meal. Actually put it on the card, and then, you know, you claim it back later. Second reason, and this is actually more important than, you know, travel, is actually building a credit score. So I've come to a point, Louis, where because I'm such a good paymaster, I never pay minimum, you know. There's only one time I used to pay minimum, but it was more for a company emergency rather than my own personal expense. And the company actually paid the expenses for the interest. But I'm in my whole life using a credit card since I was 20 plus. I've never paid minimum payment.
So how much would you pay rather than the minimum?
Full. Every time is full.
Okay.
Every time is full. I pay full. And there was a time when I was late by 1-2 days and they charged me interest of 20 cents. I still called the bank to reverse the charge.
So you can ask them to reverse the charge?
Yeah. So they will ask you why you're late. Then you said your standing instruction didn't work, which is true. Standing instruction didn't work and all that kind of thing. It's more of the principle, and it becomes a habit in me. I think more importantly is to build a credit score. And I've come to a point where, because I never pay minimum credit card, banks actually call me to give me preferential interest rate payments.
Wow.
So they'll call me and said, hey, John, I'd like to give you like 100,000 loan. Once off interest 2.99%.
2.99%. Wow,
Yeah,
that
fixed.
is
It's not recurring. That means you 100,000, you pay 2,900. 2.99 would be 2,999 ringgit.
You
Okay.
could just like buy a car with that then.
Yeah. Straight up front, you know.
Yeah.
So it's not the 15%, 18% of the credit card. I made it very clear. I use it mainly for investment purposes. If there's an investment opportunity and the investment opportunity can return better than 2.99, then definitely I'll use it. But again, disclaimer, please, it's a double-edged sword. It's to those who don't know how to use it and they go and splurge, obviously, then it's dangerous. Thirdly, so credit score. Thirdly is expense tracking. I really like it that everything comes into my credit card statement. I go through my credit card statement every month. Why? To prevent fraud. Secondly, also to check what am I spending on, because some cards, they actually categorize what you spend, groceries, food, and all that kind of thing. Fourth, emergencies. This one I really like. So you know, we all have medical emergencies, and you actually, what do you call it? Admit yourself to the hospital. The administration fee, admission fee, deposit, all that is actually usually not paid by the medical card. It's usually actually paid by, you have to pay, fork it out on your own. Okay. So yeah, I think that part, credit card, is important, because once you're discharged and everything is paid by the insurance, they just reverse your credit card. So you don't have to come out with cash.
Oh, so they actually reverse your credit.
Yeah, they reverse because
okay,
it's like hotel, you know, when you check in hotel, the deposit, they said put a deposit of 200. They don't bank it back, they just reverse the charge only, within.
Oh, right. I mean, around Miri, actually, a lot of hotels don't accept like credit card for that. It needs to be cash, so it still needs to be like, I think you pay them cash, and then the insurance company will then pay you, something like that.
Oh, okay.
It's a weird system, I feel. So I didn't know about that. So
most larger hotels in KL, you just swipe the card and they will just reverse to you after like 3 days of stay.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. And then two more quick ones. Free insurance, especially if you're like a higher tier card, like a Signature or Visa Infinite. If you swipe your credit card on travel, let's say air ticket or whatever, and if you meet the terms and conditions, they can even give you free PA and travel insurance up to =1 million ringgit coverage. So it depends. You have to look at some of the cards, terms and conditions. And last but not least, for me, it's actually Premier Launch Entry. So like if you like Plaza Premium Launch, the company that was launched by this Malaysian guy, if you're like a Visa Infinite of certain banks, you're granted like 4 times or 6 times. So if you have different cards, maybe you can, if you have like 4 and then 6, right? Then 10 visits to the premium launch is free already for that year for you.
Wow. Is that also one of the motivations for you to get so many cards?
That's right. That's one of the motivations also.
It's a hack. It's actually a hack. I think we need another episode completely dedicated to John's credit card hacks.
Yeah. So for you, what I know you're not a proponent of credit cards, but there are certain things that you think that as you have one or two, but I'm pretty sure you have your reasons as well, right? Like for example, if I'm not mistaken, you use it for your business or something?
Yeah. I think for me, credit cards are essential for business because I need to pay to overseas like companies, and they usually don't accept debit cards. So that's one of the big reasons why I keep 2 credit cards still, regardless. Yeah.
Okay.
But outside of that, I don't really like to use like most of the credit card facilities. I mean, I like the cashless aspect of it, but that's the same as if I use a QR payment. It's the same, that, not specific to credit card. Yeah, for credit card specifically, I think it's more for like acceptance to me. Yeah. Okay, so I think one of the things that when we think about, there's like all of these benefits for using credit cards, but we can also spiral into that very quickly, right? Like when we said tap here, tap there. So you were saying you don't pay minimum. Any other tips for avoiding credit card debts in general?
Oh, very good. Back to the example you gave about your friend's furniture spending spree, right?
Okay.
For me, very easy. Big ticket item, can you afford the whole thing in cash or not? Then only buy. So that's my philosophy. Can you pay the full amount then if you can, then only go and buy. If not, right, don't even think about it, because a lot of times why they spiral into all this that is because they think of the minimum they can make. So it's like you go into a house rent, you buy a house and you think about all the down payments, the legal fee, the deposit, all that kind of thing. But you haven't factored in renovation, you haven't factored in all these other ancillary costs. So you don't even have a buffer, you know. So in the case of credit card impulsive spending, right? You like that dress, fine. Save up the amount that you have in full, then you go and convert. But most impulsive spenders, they don't think of that in that manner, lah. Okay.
Yeah, and John, to that point, right? The like, okay, does that apply when we think about like the installments as well?
Oh yeah. So let's just say you want to buy a MacBook Pro. Like for example, I have my MacBook Pro on a 36 months interest-free installment.
Okay.
It's free, it's zero interest, okay? But I have to make sure that, can I make this back from my business? I bought it for my business, for my work, for training. Can I make this back from my business within like 2 months or 3 months? If cannot, forget it. Just forget it. Don't even, you can't afford it. So I know it's
very harsh.
It's very harsh, but that's one way. I actually had a friend, okay, and he wanted to buy a Rolex watch, but it was, I think, about 46,000, and he had the cash, but he didn't have the credit card, because when I asked him what was his struggle, he could not control his credit card spending.
Right.
And because of that, he limit his card limit to 5,000 or 6,000. So that's probably another one way. That means you may qualify for high credit limit, but you limit your credit so that you don't the moment you hit a certain limit, right, it just bars you from spending, which is also another good thing, lah. And then he asked me, John, why you can control? I said, yeah, I cumulatively, right, Louis, all my credit cards, I think I can swipe up to 400,000.
Wow, that's like on what, 8 different cards?
Yeah, correct. I can swipe up to 400. I think 400 plus, 400 plus thousand. Yeah, but I hardly use them. All the highest limit credit cards I keep at home. I never take it out.
Is it like in the freezer?
No lah, not in the freezer, but it's locked very safe. I hardly use it, right? And I think the highest limit on one card is 150K. So I can just swipe 150K on one card alone. So, but
so
again,
if I want to buy a car with your card, I can just go and ask you to
yes, correct. Yeah. So don't pay minimum. If you cannot pay in full every month, I think that's where it's a trigger sign. It's a trigger sign. Yeah.
All right, so now we move on to the final section of today's episode, which is someone out there, like most likely a fresh graduate. Now we see actually I think I like the point about building credit score, right? So that's very important. Later on, if you want to buy a bigger ticket item like a house, car, etc., it adds up, right? So if they want to get a credit card, what are some tips? Are there like better credit cards out there? How many should they get?
Yeah, I think there are fantastic sites, iRinggit, WangHiro, or even like TikTokers that actually, like, there was this TikToker, I think, called Anas Abbas. She talks purely about credit cards, and I think she's a credit card executive. Fantastic content, shout out to her. If you're new, don't get more than 2. Because one, you can't try, you're not used to it yet, right? Like for me, I have a system. Every month I sit down, probably 2 hours, I'll just go through all my credit card spending, right? And just to make sure there's no fraud, just to make sure that, any funny charges from the bank, that kind of thing, right? Find something that suits your lifestyle. Because your question was, how is it? Like for me, I spend a lot on groceries and eating out. So if someone who travels a lot, who wants air miles, then find something that suits that. Because there's no one size fits all, right? And I think when you're starting out, don't take too many, because you really, really cannot keep track. Like if your life is like so busy already, right? In terms of credit limit, you don't worry, because they will have to access your income, they will access your gross income at that time, and they will usually keep it to about 3 times your gross income. So in terms of selection, I think really find something that suits your lifestyle. Spend some time on it, because this is something that you're going to use very frequently. Either pump petrol, pay for groceries, pay for your gym, all those kind of things. Yeah.
So I mean, one related question: should you get a credit card because they're giving you an iPad?
Yes and no.
Mm.
If they're giving, actually, I always believe in this. For when I was younger, I didn't understand, but now as I grow older, hopefully wiser, I understand this. There's no such thing as free lunch. So they give you a bag, they give you an iPad, they give you whatever gift, right? Something's gotta give. There is a price to pay for it. So it could be they're charging you higher in terms of interest rate if you're late. It could be that, in terms of annual fee, they're charging that back to you if you don't spend like a certain. So there's always all these underlying terms and conditions. Like there was one card that I really liked. It was a CIMB Enrich card, Enrich Infinite card, Louis. But the annual fee was 800 ringgit a year. And I like,
Wow.
no way.
I mean, what's the reason for charging that much?
Because the points that you are getting every time you spend was quite good to get enriched points. Malaysian Airlines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
If you're a traveler, there might be like some pros of using that.
Correct. So, and those were the days when they charge you. They wanted to make money off the annual fees. So nowadays, what the cards do is this. Let's say like a Visa Infinite or whatever, right? In order for you to maintain that tier without paying an annual fee, you have to spend a minimum of how much. In the past, they don't have this. You know, when I'm talking about 10, 15 years ago,
Right.
they don't have this. So nowadays, what they're smarter is they realize a lot of clients don't want to pay annual fees. So they said, can you spend minimum 100K on the car a year?
Makes sense.
Yeah, so it makes sense. So that's why, if you ask me, find something that suits your lifestyle. And whenever there is a free gift, make sure the terms and conditions read it very carefully. No such thing as free lunch one.
If they give you an iPad, there must be a few iPads that you have to give in return, right?
Correct. Exactly.
All right. Okay. So that wraps up today's episode of WangHiro. So over to you, our audience. Are you a big user of credit cards? Do you think they're good for you, or do you think they're quite nasty? Are you thinking of getting one? Comment below. As usual, if you enjoy content like this, make sure to subscribe, like, and hit the notifications bell. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll see you again in our next episode. Bye-bye.